Neil Back, of course, it was in England's only so far a World Cup winning rugby union team, captain as well for England for plenty of time. And he's joining us now, but he's got something else to talk about. We'll get on to the rugby, something else to talk about indeed. Hello, Neil.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Really good. Really good to talk to you. Neil, I don't know how you've come to be a financial expert. I'm very, very glad that you are, though, because Andy and I were discussing our own spendthrift ways.
Yes.
And you've been you've been doing or involved with a survey investigating how people turn from savers to spenders, spenders to savers, and what's the best way to negotiate financially forward in what are at the moment pretty uncertain financial times. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're in difficult financial times, as you say, and the cost of living crisis has drastically changed people's the way that they're planning, basically. Gatehouse Bank has done a recent survey of 1,000 people aged between 18 and 60 years of age, and basically quizzed whether they are spenders or savers. And I was quite surprised by some of the results. I'll just give you a few of the headline figures. Well, nearly half, or 45%, now consider themselves as savers. I was surprised by that, but with the finite climate we're in, the cost of living, sort of understandable that people are reining back. I mean, I've always been a saver from my first job in commercial assurance. I got a bank account, saving account, and started investing in a pension at the age of 18. Not everyone does that. And I know in particular, a lot of sportsmen and women, particularly footballers, think, I earn a lot of money, but it could all end tomorrow, as you know. It's the same in rugby. I'd always advise, to save and save for those sort of milestone moments in the future. In sport, mine was to win the Rugby World Cup, and there was a huge amount of planning from where I started to where we ended up to get there. And I'd advise the same in financial planning for milestones you might have in your life: buying a house, buying a car, saving to get married, whatever. So be honest about where you are, plan where you want to get to, what your goal is, and then work out how to get there. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, I did that throughout my career. There's always obstacles. You need people to help you overcome them.
Neil, just go very quickly, is there somewhere people can go and get this kind of advice even online?
Well, Gatehouse Bank, they offer ethical saving products and finance. So there's a starting point. I'm representing them today. So
yes, well,
I'm not going to mention it.
That's what I want to know. Good. Well, the financial storms and slings and arrows that we could all face, I mean, are very well illustrated in your own sport and what's happening in the Premiership, in the rugby, where clubs are going out of business left, right, and centre, contracts being torn up and all the rest of it, which takes us on to rugby in one of the most carefully planned links of all time.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Neil, England have had one game. In many ways, it couldn't have gone much worse, and yet they won thanks to Ford's brilliance on the day. What did you make of their early performance, and can they build on this, or is the terrible form we saw in the build-up to the World Cup actually going to drag them down?
Look, the form pre-World Cup was not great. Under Borthwick, 3 wins from 9, conceded 30 tries, scored 6. So not great stats by any stretch of the imagination. But as you'll probably be aware, the World Cup is the only time you have a sustained period of time together. They've had like 6 to 8 weeks together. So it's the only time international team, and particularly England, will be like at the peak fitness. They've had plenty of time to talk about strategy, attack and defence. And we saw that in that opening game. Argentina are ranked ahead of England now, and it was unexpected by many. And the sending off of Tom Curry after 3 minutes, you thought, oh, where's this going? But it absolutely galvanised the team. I'm I'm not sure why we needed a player to get sent off after 3 minutes to galvanise the team. I'm sure they'll be galvanised anyway, but our attack strategy then became pretty simple. We weren't going to find lots of space with one less man. So we needed to adopt a different tactic. And George Ford, as the stats will show, kicked 3 drop goals and 6 penalties. And he was a man of the match, quite rightly, but it was a true team effort.
Yeah, it was an encouraging performance. It's interesting, you mentioned pre-tournament there. The conditioning coach was interviewed in the paper this morning, and he's talking about, and I hear this from football teams as well, that the poor pre-tournament form was basically expected because they had loads of miles in their legs. They were prepping for this tournament. And so he says that they weren't surprised that the results were poor. I mean, it's easy to say now, but that's his view.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that mythology, and it sometimes happens. I know through our World Cup campaign, during the pool stages, we only really had a light training week against South Africa, which was our second pool game, the opening pool game against Uruguay, and the last 2 games against Samoa and Georgia. We trained incredibly hard, so we wouldn't have to train particularly hard for the knockout stages. So I understand that, but I think every team would rather go into a tournament with winning confidence and belief. Ahead of the World Cup in 2003, we won 15 out of 16 on the bounce ahead of the tournament, losing game 15 by a point to France and then beating them the week after 45 points to 14. So I'd rather go in with that winning mentality, but I understand what the coach is saying, and I hope he's right.
Neil, I'm sure you do, and it just looks like there's just so much talent stacked against an England team. It's just come at the wrong time in their cycle. Great to talk to you. Thank you very, very much indeed, Neil.
My pleasure, guys.
Yeah, Neil back there, just giving you A, some financial advice, and B, trying, I thought, rather bravely there to